Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. This is a presentation on how to make a great first impression to your tax and accounting prospects. Special welcome to all of our VIPs. I'm Lauren Detweiler. I'm the content manager at CountingWorks Pro.
And I am Lee Reams. I am founder and CEO of CountingWorks Pro. And I think this is a great topic as we come out of tax season to start focusing on, especially in the new digital age. So we have a lot of good tips here that we're going to talk about.
Definitely. So I'll go through our agenda really quickly before we get started. We're going to talk through 8 key ways that you can really make that great first impression. First, by targeting a niche or a vertical, investing in well-written copy and keeping your website visitors engaged, communicating frequently and effectively with them, taking the long view when you're building your reputation, so with reviews, etc., having a clear call to action, utilizing tech across the board for your whole practice, and learning to say no, particularly when someone is not a good fit client for you. And then we'll cover some Q&A at the end as well. So really quickly about this workshop, it's going to be about 30 minutes long, no CPE credit for this one, Q&A at the end, like I said. And while this workshop is designed for US-based small tax and accounting practices, any other business or practice may benefit as well.
Well, thank you, Lauren, for that introduction, and let's get started. So I'm going to set the table a little bit. Basically in the age of the internet, your prospects, so business owners, taxpayers, people with IRS tax problems, they have more options than ever before. So back in the old days, people would ask their friends or colleagues for a referral. They would then call you and most likely convert to become a client. So in the age of the internet, from social media to Google, your prospects have the ability to connect or research, potentially dozens of your competitors on their mobile device. So, what that means to you is, how is your firm communicating your value in a way that will drive conversion? So today we're going to go over several different strategies and tips, and this includes the copy you use, the content you share, how you're showcasing your expertise, your initial offer. These are all things that can heavily influence how people engage with your brand and how they react during this engagement. So when it comes to attracting new clients, it is key to make a strong first impression from that first touch point. And that first touch point is not always just occurring on your website. There are landing pages, social campaigns, social media posts, your blog, your client newsletter. There's a bunch of different ways, articles that are written about you. There's a bunch of different ways that people meet up and read about your firm online. So, whether that be your website, your phone, your reviews, or even social media, the most common differentiator we see from our top performing pros is that they understand the importance of showcasing their expertise and safeguarding their reputation online. So in today's digital world, prospects are engaging with your brand online without you even knowing that. And this is an important topic or point. A lot of firms that are struggling, the phone's not ringing, I'm not getting as many new prospects as I used to. The reality is they're probably landing on your site and there's something about it that's putting them off. So whether you don't have enough social proof, if you're not speaking their language, you're not addressing their pain points and how you're going to resolve that, how are you going to make their life better? There's a good chance that they're going to continue their search. All right, so let's start with some of our strategies. So one of the first ways to make a great first impression is to target a niche. And what we're saying here when we're defining a niche is there's a couple of ways to look at this. One is what I call a vertical. So meaning I'm going to become a virtual CFO for dentists. I'm doing everything from helping them start up their business. So business formation, what entities to select, through the accounting systems they're installing, internal controls, through the ongoing income statements, virtual CFO type of device. So that is something where I am focusing on a vertical versus it could be a service niche. And when I say service niche, that could be something like expat taxes. So you're taking a specific area in the tax code, you're going to specialize in expats, and you could even define it even further, say, I'm going to specialize in expats that live in Israel, okay? So that is a very focused approach. So, when you try to be a generalist, so if you're a CPA firm or an enrolled agent, a tax accountant, and you're just doing all services to all markets, you're not necessarily choosing the right terms. So different personas will react differently to your marketing material. They'll act differently to your area of expertise, the designations you have, your actual entire sales pitch. So basically, when you're doing what I call a commodity-like marketing or being a generalist, you typically end up connecting with no one. It's much harder to compete with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of brands than it is being a market specialist. So prospecting and attracting new clients isn't a numbers game. It can be quite the opposite if you are highly focused. And what that means is you can become that expert in your field, and you're going to get more referrals from that. You're going to have an easier time actually doing the work because you see the same issues over and over again. And the perception that you have more knowledge than one of these generalists will help you grow much more effectively and much more efficiently. So, by targeting a niche, you'll bring in a steady flow of qualified leads, much easier, and it'll help you grow your practice much quicker. And more importantly, I think a lot of people realize through the pandemic, your lifestyle matters. The amount of work and hours you put in matter. So price yourself accordingly. Build up a reputation so you can get a premium. Work when you want to work. And, the reason we keep saying do a niche or a vertical is you can set this up where you're selling package deals, the price points and the amount of revenue you're generating are higher. And as I said before, if you're seeing the same issues over and over again, the amount of time that it will spend for you to do your job will be much less. So, that's one of the main things I want you to take away from here. So, just don't take any and every client. Focusing makes it easier for you to attract those that can most use your help and those for whom your expertise delivers the most value. And that's why we also say, hey, be passionate about the niche that you're going to work in. And the other thing is we say is, if you're going to focus on something, be prepared that this is at least a 5-year minimum commitment. So you can focus on multiple niches and you can grow all of them, at the same time. So you can what's nice about doing niche marketing as well is you can iterate, you can test different packages, you can test different marketing conversion copy, and it can kind of help take the hit and miss as you grow it up. So target a niche is very important. Number 2 is invest in well-written copy. This is an area I see a lot of professionals, they get caught up in writing and speaking in their language, not your client's language. So, and what I mean by that is to attract the right audience, you need the right message. So when you're doing that, you're developing copy that is around their pain points and how you're going to make their life better. I mean, basically, marketing and growing a business is about storytelling. So the better your story, the better your pitch, the more focused it is on the audience that you're trying to attract, the better you're going to convert. That's just the way it works. So invest time and resources to hire copywriters who can help you create, solid headlines. We do this, a lot of A/B testing. We've been utilizing a lot of new copy strategies. So, and they've been very effective. So it's something that we've kind of figured out, especially with our social media campaigns. We kind of find out very quickly what headlines work, what don't, and then we optimize them from there. So headlines for your website, you need to qualify your visitors. So are they right for you? Is this the type of client you're looking for? And you need to develop well-crafted CTAs, calls to action. And that's going to help you convert more visitors to leads. So part of that is being backed up by social proof. Part of that is taking some of the risk out of them providing you their data. And we have a couple different strategies we'll talk about here later. So to attract the right audience, you need to first figure out who your audience is, right? So don't guess, develop these personas. Find out why they need your product or service first, and then develop copy that speaks to their pain points and explains how you will help them build a better financial outcome. I think this is a key element that a lot of pros get lost in their designations. They do too much copy. People are mostly doing a lot of this research on their mobile devices. There's less real estate on these smaller screens. So you need to have basically an elevator pitch versus a long story, because people really don't have the time to invest as much anymore. So 3, keep your website visitors engaged. And what we say by this is just having good copy of your site isn't enough. So do you need to utilize a chatbot? Do you have blog posts and blog content that is up front, so that you're getting, so we have different things for our clients with their blogs. We have the blog spotlights. We also have the videos or the vlog spotlights. So these are different blocks that we put on your website that will help start engaging, taking people through, a story, helping showcase your expertise. Are you developing podcasts? Are you doing YouTube videos? Are you writing your own blog posts that are in addition to the blog posts that we supply for clients? Are you utilizing the interactive calculators or getting people to use them? We have certain, it's interesting, there was a story, I don't know, a year or two ago. We have a payroll calculator that it actually went down for a few hours, and the amount of calls we had when that calculator went down, it was because all their clients were calling them up saying, hey, this calculator is no longer there. I use it every day. And that was something that was, very interesting. But these are the things people are using. Do you have white papers that talk, through different subjects? Are you posting industry reports and more? So you want to keep your website visitors engaged when they're on your site. Communicate frequently and effectively. And what I mean by this is we've seen, especially clients that don't use our services, especially when it comes to their blog posts, social media posts, and it's really the email newsletters, they are not proactively. They might write a couple blogs and then their site becomes kind of a dinosaur site. So meaning nothing is worse than going on to a site and the last post was from 2017. It doesn't really say much about you and how you support your clients. So the idea is, how do you communicate to a value? And that's the way we develop our content. So, and I think we're very good at this. We see this in the reviews that your clients are leaving on your websites and in your marketplace sites. They reference the newsletters and the updates all the time. So do you want web visitors to convert? Yes, you need content with concise and easy to understand copy. Write in their language, not your language. And then clear communication of value. So we're here to educate. We're basically here to kind of talk about different strategies and tips and really portray the value that you provide versus a DIY or going it alone or making mistakes. And I think this is very important. So another thing is edit your content on an ongoing basis. So anytime you have updates on things you've done in the community, if you're writing your own blog articles on top of ours, make sure that is frequent. The search engines like fresh content. Your users like fresh content. It also shows that you're engaging, with your client base, right? And we're going to go as far as even responding to reviews when clients give you reviews. Again, the more active a brand is online, it speaks to the responsiveness of you. So there's a couple other things that we like to tell people is when you stuff too much content on your site, that is where people can get lost. They're not going to read your stories, and people like to skim. So there's a strategic way that we've been designing websites, and then some of the new designs that we have coming out this summer are specifically designed for this type of browse mentality. I'm in a hurry. I don't have time. I make decisions very quickly. So that is something you need to think about when you're developing content. And then, the frequent blogs and social media posts are key. So even if you're not getting a ton of engagement, your brand is consistently out there. And when someone asks for a referral and they refer you online, so let's say they share your Facebook profile, this visitor automatically is going to see all this great, life event content. There's all these strategies. There's things that you're speaking to them. You're making a great first impression just by the amount of content that you're putting out there. And don't forget to promote your newsletter. So, send your newsletter to get signups from other professionals. Include the opt-in forms on all of your website pages. This will really help generate a larger readership on your newsletter. So take the long view with building your reputation. And reviews, in the past when we spoke about reviews, it was much harder to get our professionals to kind of jump in. Now that we have clients with hundreds of reviews, we optimize our taxbuzz.com site, our CountingWorks site, our Google My Business listings first, and then we go to Yelp and the others. But you've now realized the power of reviews. No one sells you better than a happy client. They speak in client's language. What they write is basically gold. It's better than any advertising copy you could ever create. So you want to use this social proof to help build your practice. So we say no matter how much effort you put into making your content perfect and your advertising gorgeous and you have all these calls to action, if you do not have client reviews, you're not going to be as successful. Client reviews are the most trusted online source for your consumers. And then unfortunately, many have no idea how to ask for a review or maintain and build their online reputations. We obviously have automated this for our clients. We have multiple campaigns. We then syndicate positive 5-star reviews to your social media accounts, which even drives more reviews. So we've kind of put this on autopilot. And online reviews aren't just a research tool. So someone will search perhaps your brand reviews, and then whatever they see will be part of their research. When, let's say, they were referred to you, that might be a search term when they're doing their research. But the reality is what they see is a trust signal. And basically you're building that trust before they've even called you. It makes it much easier for you to convert a client if they see positive experiences from others. And we always say, hey, what does your review profile say about you? You can never stop pushing reviews. Google will reward brands that have more frequent reviews, and the frequency is important to the searchers as well. So make sure you're utilizing reviews throughout your marketing material. Ask for reviews after every successful engagement. We have a bunch of different templates and ways to do this. If you need any assistance in a current client of ours, definitely reach out to our help desk at help@countingworkspro.com, and someone will help set that up for you. Have a clear call to action. So we talked about this earlier, but a lot of times what we see lacking is there are call to actions that are lost on a page, or there is no call to action to say, hey, I'm now interested. I want to talk to you, but you don't make it easy. One of the most powerful ones is the free discovery calls that take people directly to your online calendar and then a teleaccountant call. So offer a 15-minute discovery call now on your calendar. Use our teleaccountant video conferencing tool to meet with a client, and that's where you're feeling each other out, right? So you're able to see what are their wishes, what are their pain points, what are their problems. Provide a little free advice, and you can decide, hey, is this a client that I want to work with or not? And at the same time, the client has a no-risk way to get to know you. And if those calls go well, it's well worth your time. So there's a couple things. When clients visit your site, is it easy to find your phone number if they want to do that? Request a consultation, an online appointment. That is why these appointment forms are so important. Do you make it easy to download a white paper or resource or sign up for your newsletter? Those are things that are going to help you interact with a client or prospect, add them to your nurture list. So those are things that I would definitely recommend. So have a clear call to action on your website. I usually like to have a primary and a secondary. Good copy gets people to respond in a way that you want them to. And one way to achieve this is to clearly define your niche and speak to that niche in your CTA. So I think that's an important element here. And then this is more, post-pandemic and as we grow, but the convenience and the benefits, the time saving, the lifestyle effects of utilizing technology, I think is a huge deal. So we've never had so much usage of our e-sign. We've had millions and millions of minutes of teleaccountant interviews. We added over 30 digital workflows with our Trello integration. A lot of users are taking advantage of that. If you are not, definitely check out our knowledge base or talk to one of our customer success leads, and they'll kind of walk you through this. But the reality is these client portals make it convenient and secure for you and your clients to interact. And not having to drive to you, not having to sit in a lobby waiting. These are such huge advantages, right? So the other thing is people are used to user experiences on major brands. So what they see on Amazon, what they see at Netflix is what they expect from you now. So it's not just having this great reputation and know-how anymore. You need to embrace this technology. Otherwise, you'll start losing out on new business. Savvy prospects will consider this more than expertise when comparing options. So if you have two companies and you're both similar in experience, for example, someone would kind of defer, you know what, I want the convenience. I want someone that's technology able. That's who I'm going to work with. So make sure you start utilizing technology. And it helps you spend more time providing advice to your clients versus wasting days on busy work, those menial tasks. And this comes from using technology on both your workflows and your onboarding, but also the actual using AI and automation in the bookkeeping or whatever you're doing. So I think it's not a threat, it is an opportunity. And the more advice you can provide your clients, they're going to get a better financial outcome, but you're also going to be able to charge more. So definitely, utilize the technology across the board. And this one's a good one. I think a lot of people don't say this. We're starting to see it more and more. Even on our last Tax Buds chat, there was a conversation about learning to say no. And, we know not all clients are right for you. And, not only are they not right for you, you don't want to be coming off as non-responsive or feeling like you're, doing people favors, or you don't want to work with them. They're going to feel it. So that's why we suggest using the free discovery calls. Get to know your prospects, their personality, their needs, their budgets. Smile, show your personality in these discovery calls. They're going to find out very quickly, does your personality, match with the prospect, and vice versa. So I think this is important when you're kind of matching up with your new prospects. Utilize our video technology. Utilize these tools where you can do a face-to-face without a huge amount of time commitment, and be able to say, hey, this is someone I want to work with. I can really help this person. And so only take on clients that you can support with your expertise. Nothing worse if you're spending all this different time researching their issues just because you had to have this client. So, I think that's important. And then nurture existing relationships. The fastest way to grow is actually to expand the amount of money your current clients are spending with you. We talk about segmenting clients, looking at your client base, coming up with different, we've talked about packaging in multiple blog articles. You can always go to CountingWorks Pro and research this. We've also done previous webcasts. But the reality is you can define out of your current client base maybe 3 or 4 different niche relationships that you could create. I mean products. So there might be a group of clients that be willing to spend a monthly fee to have a tax planning relationship versus a tax prep. The only way to know is to set up an offer, do a marketing campaign for this, and start driving the average lifetime value, the average order, what they're spending with you. And what this does is it helps you, if you're working with fewer clients, charging more, you start taking control of your life and your schedule versus allowing your schedule to control you. And I think this speaks to a lot of people, the amount of work you guys are doing right now. You are swamped, you're overwhelmed. And if you could somehow start pivoting, during this off season to the thought process to say no and to get more out of your current clients, I think you'll be more successful. So, how to make a great first impression. That was the topic today. And what we're realizing here is many factors keep tax and accounting pros as the number one trusted advisor. A survey after survey shows this. So, what is that? It's unbiased advice. It's intimate financial relationships, responsiveness, and much more, obviously. So starting off your relationships by utilizing the steps we talked about here: social proof, writing the right content, sharing your expertise. Those are items that are going to give you a higher conversion rate and a greater odds of being successful. So if you can use these tools, that people that are just the one-touch pros, you're going to leave these people in the dust. You're going to be able to charge them more. You're going to be able to convert more clients, and they're not going to be able to compete with you. So, you need to embrace this as the digital age transforms the way successful firms prosper and grow. I think this is important that we give you all the tools. Not all clients use them, but they are there, and start checking them out, start researching, learn how to use them, and start integrating this into your practice. All right. We do have some time for some Q&A now. Lauren, I'll go ahead and let you take over.
All right, great. So I think we're going to cover some Q&A now. Our first question was, how should I determine which niche to focus on?
Yeah, and I think that's important because sometimes people just, throw things out. They don't do any research or preparation before they decide to start targeting a niche. And one of the things we like to say is, if you're going to get into a particular vertical or service, it's important to realize this is a long-term commitment. So once you start building your area of expertise and your reputation, it's important to realize, this isn't just a test, so to speak. You really want to do it. So the first thing I say, there's 2 things. I always say, evaluate your passion and your skill first. So where is your expertise? And then figure out if there's a need for the niche that you're looking at. Engage if there's a market for it. So real quick on evaluating your passion and skills, choosing a niche that you don't love will become very tedious very quickly, right? So just doing it for the money, I don't think you'll be very successful long term. Clients will realize it. You'll probably not be in the best mood when dealing with clients. You get frustrated a little bit faster. But if it's something you're passionate about, you obviously put more into it. So you want it to be fulfilling, right? So you want to make sure that if you're going to spend your time working on something, you do love it. So what kind of work are you most passionate about? What are you excited to do? And the thing is, you want your clients to feel that. You want to work with clients that are passionate about the niche that you're specializing in as much as you're passionate about it. I think that makes it a two-way street that makes the odds of success much higher. Having an interest in and knowledge of things that excite you, I think really boosts also the client loyalty and retention rates and makes you more relatable. So if your client knows you have a background in, let's say, photography or a passion in music, whatever it is, your clients are going to relate to that as well. And you're going to have a stronger practice, both in the way referrals come in and more importantly, the quality of service you provide. So when you're figuring out what niche to choose, there's a couple ways. One, you need to define the market. So is the market big enough to support you and other competitors? Can you stand out? Can you generate enough income for this niche? It can't be so narrow that there's only 5 or 6 clients that would qualify, and if you lose one, your business is done. So there are tools you can use from Google that allow you to kind of start looking at some AdWord keywords, and there's a planner that they have, and you can basically start uncovering, what are the things people are searching on? Or is it really competitive? Are there a lot of people competing for those words? And that can help you kind of determine if you're on a broader category and you want to narrow down. So meaning I'm just going to go broad dentist, but you really want to just deal with startups. That is a category within a category. So you need to make sure that there is enough volume of work that would come through that would fulfill a practice. So those are 2 areas I look at. First, passion, and is there a big enough market for it?
Great. Okay, so our second question is with the first impression, what should I start with first?
And this is easy. We talked about components of this throughout our presentation, but basically if you start with a professional, modern, mobile-first website. So, when someone Googles your name, most likely, if your website is built correctly, the first thing they're going to see in the search results is your own domain name, your brand. So, and one of the unfortunate things for everybody, especially small businesses, is people expect the same digital experience they get from going to Amazon or a high-end retail website as they do through you now. So you need to make sure you have easy-to-use navigation. You're using human-centric copy. So a lot of times we see accounting professionals speaking in technical terms versus speaking to the client speak, so to speak. So you don't create copy that's over their heads. Be very simplistic with your, what are your pain points? This is how I'm going to solve this and make your life better. Make sure that your design and your branding elements are consistent across the web. So when you start it and you get that brand, kind of that, whatever that color scheme is, the font typography, photography, whatever that theme is, you want to make sure that your website, which is your first impression, then takes all those elements across your social media, your blog, your newsletter, wherever you go. So one thing we see is a lot of practices do not invest in their website. And as it being one of the first impressions, obviously, what you're doing is people are landing or referrals are coming to your site and they're just going away and you don't even know it. So the conversation doesn't even start. So making sure that you have a secure website. So don't throw them off with an unsecure site. That means an HTTPS security on it. Make sure your site has reCAPTCHA. It's up to the IRS guidelines. And most importantly, make sure that your site is ADA compliant. That is an area that a lot of people actually get into legal issues with. So those are the main things. And then as always, a first impression, positive testimonials and reviews, hammering it through.
Definitely. I would say for sure the reviews, and then what you mentioned about pain point copy being especially important for speaking to your clients. And on that note of copy, what is the best way that you would suggest to develop a call to action or a CTA?
Yeah, and I'm going to go back off of the customer testimonials again. and I'm going to say that first before you get to the CTA, because if you have a beautiful website, so you have that first impression starts, and you're backing up with social proof, customer testimonials, and you're already starting with those two, again, first impressions, the ability to start creating trust between your practice and your audience, right? So that social proof is basically taking the risk out of these prospects engaging you with your brand, which leads them into your CTAs. And a call to action must be clear. It must be, I always say you have multiple calls to action. So you might have a primary call to action, and you might have secondary ones farther down on the page. But basically what you want to do is you want to have a CTA that's so powerful and inviting and risk averse. So it's not the prospect doesn't feel like they're giving away information, or you're going to kind of bombard them with spam, whatever. They see value in giving them your contact information, right? So basically what you want to do is have strong calls to action, but you want them throughout the customer journey. So meaning there's a difference between someone who's just researching and landing on your blog. So let's say they're interested on starting a new company. You wrote a blog that they Googled, they found it, and they're interested in seeing like the basics of how to do it. But you want to have calls to action throughout your marketing materials, throughout the funnel. So what you use on a blog call to action might be different than what you have on your website. So one of the things that I suggest that I've seen people do very successful is using a free discovery call. So it used to be kind of a free phone consultation. That has obviously morphed into a video call. So obviously we have teleaccountant. We have that integrated with your calendar if you're a current client of ours. And basically it makes it very easy for a prospect to have a 15-minute free call with you where you can basically feel each other out. Is this relationship going to be a win-win for both of us? You can provide some basic free advice, but it's a way for you to qualify each other and make sure that there is a fit. And it makes it so you're not selling, you're more advising in that initial call, and then basically setting the groundwork if their mutual interest for you and them starting an engagement. So my favorite thing on a call to action is the free discovery call. Make it very easy for them to set an appointment with you, get it on video because it's face-to-face. It also kind of showcases your technical expertise. It's part of that user experience we talked about earlier, where people expect the same digital experience they see on Amazon. So that is kind of the way, some of the basic stuff for CTAs. But if you wanted to start basic, do free discovery calls, and I bet you will increase your conversion rates on every site or every page that you put that on. And that kind of ends up, I think, the Q&A. Does that, Lauren, are we done?
Yep, that covers it. So if you have any last comments you wanted to make before we wrap up?
Sure. So again, we're excited about where the product's going. I know this tax season has been extremely overwhelming. We've heard a lot of professionals, the tax season from hell and how busy it is. The IRS extending the date there's some pros and cons. I know some people are very happy, some are very upset. But we've been working really hard on developing some new tools that we're going to be launching over the summer, a big upgrade in our platform and from usability. So we're excited to start talking about that here in the future. As usual, if you have any questions or technical needs, please reach out to our customer support side. help@countingworks.com is the best way to do that, or through our chat windows on any of the inside the app deals. But again, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again.